those off and make them always blankets. Oh yeah, you want to go in the car? No, let's right down there. Yeah. Yeah. You know when you go down there? When you go down this trail? Go down there right like 3 cars over. Then you can enjoy it. Probably sleeping. Got it? Okay. And then here's some blankets we can sit on. Cover ourselves on. And then here's the bag. It's hard to dry it out. Do you need to wipe anymore? I'll leave them on there.
Well, it's a big one tonight at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. And, of course, it's November, it's cold, it's windy, and it's a little bit rainy here tonight between Seattle Pacific and Western Washington. But it kind of slowed down. It was an onslaught, a downpour of rain leading up to this one, and then the senior night ceremonies began for Seattle Pacific. The rain cleared up, and it should be a terrific night for soccer here at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. And what stakes we have tonight. Seattle Pacific can they can actually clinch a conference championship with a win tonight. The standings are equal coming in. Seattle Pacific 16 points, Western Washington with 16 as well. But the Vikings have played one less game, so if Seattle Pacific wins, they will have the head-to-head series sweep over Western Washington. They'll have 3 points, and they'll also have 2 more matches, whereas Western Washington has just 1 remaining. What was also important, and we will continue to discuss this as the match progresses, Simon Fraser, sitting back there with 15 points, lost today. Lost to, that pesky Montana State University Billings. Beat him 3-0. So Simon Fraser cannot catch Seattle Pacific if the Falcons come away with a win, because Seattle Pacific has played 1 less match, which is to their advantage right now, than Western Washington or Simon Fraser. Mike Lefko with you here at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. It is a cold and windy night for soccer, but it's the final home match of the regular season, at least for the Falcons, and it is a good night to honor 8 seniors who have been through a lot and have led this program to a number 18 national ranking. So we're set, ready to kick it off. Jose Benavidez is waiting in the center circle. He taps it back, and we're underway. All 8 starters got the start tonight as Seattle Pacific presses forward. Diving attempt to slide out there by Brandon Locke. Very good goalie for Western Washington. Brandon Locke, second team all-conference. This is all 2019. Strange season in 2020. There was no season in 2020, so there was a shortened 6-game season in 2021. Some teams played 5 or however many they wanted. So all stats and all of these conference designations are really from last season, which is 2019. The Falcons pressing forward, working it into their offensive half. A little errant pass goes out of bounds across the touchline. The early going here. It's the final home match for Seattle Pacific. They beat Western Washington. It was a huge win a couple of weeks ago, 2-0 win. Trying to get this ball in. Back and forth, now kicked out of play. But since then, the Vikings have been very good. They've won 3, and then they had a tie, so they're unbeaten in their last 4. The throw-in comes on the far side from Titus Grant. What a season from Alex Mejia, who tied Titus Grant. He has tied his single-game goal mark, 13 goals that Grant had in 2018. And that ball is pushed all the way back. Tough play by Hellerin, and around pressure, he gets rid of it. Alejandro Tomasi charging forward. Good pressing by Western Washington. And that pressure going to force Seattle Pacific to dribble it out through traffic. Working around the midfield, dispossessed, and the Vikings have it. So Seattle Pacific chasing their first conference title since 2015. A good pressing opportunity right here. Western Washington, they're the defending conference champs, although that was back in 2019. What a season for the Vikings, 13-5-1. And a shoe stoppage right now. We got to tie a boot down there. The pitch is held up pretty nicely. It was pouring down rain for a couple of hours leading up to this 7 o'clock start. It was windy, it was raining hard. The leaves were all over the place. But the field crew here has done a great job making this pitch playable. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know it was raining hard, and really no one wanted to be outside. Now, really nice crowd on hand here at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. Long run, Theo Steinmetz couldn't track that pass down. The cross goes out over the touchline, and we'll go back to Seattle Pacific. Nick Ryerson on the throw-in. He has been part of this defense that's been so good this season. A big help in front for Lars Hellerin, who's only allowing a little over a goal per game. So 2 very good defensive teams. And now a chance on the attack. Mejia dribbling out in front. Alex Mejia is the one to watch. 13 goals this season. He is among tops in the NCAA. 11th in the country in goals this season. And second in shots on goal per game. So he fires a lot, even if he's not necessarily scoring all the time. Tough defense by Western Washington. Turnover from Seattle Pacific. And that'll give it to the Vikings. Greg Brisbane in his 9th year as the head coach for Western Washington. Always nice when there's a connection, and of course there is one here to Seattle Pacific. Long cross, traffic in the box, the goalie's knocked down. And the referee is going to come on. There's some pushing going on too. And now the referee will come to talk it over. Drew Farnsworth, the captain for Western Washington, got in there and knocked down Lars Helleran as both were going up to get that cross. And rightfully so. I think the Falcons were then coming to protect their goalie. And now the head official has to just calm some tempers between Drew Farnsworth and Jose Benavides. Does go out for a goal kick. Farnsworth provides the offensive surge for Western Washington. 6 goals, 3 assists this year. He's the captain, and I'd imagine he's the emotional leader of that Vikings team. He started every game since 2018. A lot of trouble clearing. Finally, a big boot gets it back out towards midfield. This game has been primarily played on the defensive half so far for Seattle Pacific. Huge stakes right now. Both teams enter tied at 16 points. First place in the conference. Looking to claim that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. And just one match left for Western Washington after this. Good dribbling run, but then knocked down Musa Ali. A quick restart by Seattle Pacific. Now they'll go and restart it back where the foul occurred. Musa Ali's getting his first start this season. One of the 8 seniors that was honored. He has 1 assist in 12 games this year. The back line kicks it back and forth. Hard-fought win for Seattle Pacific against Western Washington a couple of weeks ago, and that's been the big deciding factor. Bounced in front, dribbled around, and Travis Swallow comes up with it. Swallow had a big game on Thursday, 2 goals, and that was a huge win also. So the Falcons have picked up 2 critical wins against the teams right behind them or tied with them, Western Washington and Simon Fraser. A big reason why, a win here, and they clinched the conference championship. And there's still 2 matches remaining for the Falcons, so even if they don't do it tonight, they go on the road for 2 coming up next Thursday and Saturday. I'm sure they love to get it here in front of the home fans and honor these seniors who have been through a lot, a pandemic and a canceled 2020 season. Benavides had a nice run and then was looking for some help, finally got rid of it. Damian Alvarez comes up. Passing back and forth around that back line, looking for space. A probing play. And here comes Alvarez. Hard challenge, and that will draw a foul, maybe a card. Being talked to right now. Yep, there is the yellow. Yellow card on Dakota Steinmetz. Started all 15 games, now 16 games this season, and Steinmetz played a season-high 52 minutes against Seattle Pacific in that 2-0 loss for Western Washington. That was back on October 14th. Then Seattle Pacific had a match 2 days later at Simon Fraser. They lost that and then had a 2-week break. So a very odd pattern to the schedule. You played 2 of your biggest matches, took a 2-week break. They came back out of that, and I don't know if they were a little rusty because Montana State Billings has been very pesky this year. But a draw against them. That's a Montana State Billings team that also then had a draw against Western Washington and just beat Simon Fraser. That was earlier today. Looking for our first chance. No shots yet from either team. Cold, windy conditions. I believe we're in the low 40s temperature-wise, and some double-digit wind differential is going to make it feel like it's about 35, 36 degrees out there, at least according to some weather apps. certainly a lot warmer up inside the press box. Those are my only stipulations. Cannot do this match outside. Have to be where it's warm. Nearly 10 minutes into this one. It has been some frenetic pressure by Western Washington, almost sensing that desperation there. A draw would be okay for the Vikings. A win would be critical, and a loss knocks them out of conference championship competition. Here's a run down the right side. Ryerson into the box, dancing on the exterior. To the end line, across to the back post, and it flies out. That's the first shot. Good little opportunity on a nice run, and just before he got to the end line, Jake Ferry flicked it up toward the net. Sailed over the top, and it'll be a goal kick for Western Washington. We'll see how the wind affects things. It really looks like the wind has died down considerably. It was extremely windy earlier. But now the big American flag that sits right by the scoreboard there, not blowing too much. Slide tackle, a hard challenge by Benavides, and he got up kind of expecting a whistle. And there it comes, and there's a yellow. So a yellow for Jose Benavides, the senior midfielder. 1 goal and 1 assist this year. That's his 3rd yellow card. Couple of yellows so far. 1 shot. That's come from Seattle Pacific. No shots on goal. But every time the Falcons have kind of passed it back to their goalie, Lars Hellerin, the Vikings, they have pressed up and really tried to challenge and make Hellerin clear. Sometimes when the goalie has it, you'll see a team kind of sit back and let that clear happen, let the ball go all the way out towards midfield, but Western Washington certainly pressing forward. Waiting to put this one into play, it's Gus Deal. A deep cross out to the left edge of the box. Back out top. Cross into the box, headed up towards traffic. And Seattle Pacific tries to clear. They do. Couple of nice headers. They get it out of immediate danger. But the Vikings still on the attack. Out toward the right side, dispossessed. And here come the Falcons. Looking for a counterattack. That's a good back tackle by Drew Farnsworth, the captain. And a run down the far sideline. Mejia so dangerous with that ball. Dribbling around the exterior of the box. Crosses back over. A nice move. He's knocked down. Looks up. No call. And Western Washington will play forward. Trying to get a surge of their own going. That one was just tapped out. Out over the touchline. Stays with the Vikings. The best chance so far that we've seen for either team. And of course it came off the boot of Alex Mejia. And a couple of nice moves and dribbled it into the left side of the box. Couldn't find a shot because he was knocked down. Long back pass to the goalie Hellerin. And he sends it away out of danger. Some momentum. Here comes Theo Steinmetz. He's a defender, but he likes to play up. Steinmetz has some offensive prowess. Has 3 assists this season. And had one a couple of games ago in a 1-1 draw against Montana State University Billings. That's just a fun name to say. Now, they also have played very well against the good teams in this conference, but fun to rattle off that name. Free kick just outside the box. Has a lot of momentum. Tap back down. A block, and that one didn't get through cleanly. Would have been dangerous. Deal passes down to the left side, nearing the flag. Taken away. Good defense by Benavides. And an opportunity coming for Seattle Pacific. Dribbling in front, Jake Ferry. Left it back in the middle, no one there for a moment. But it's Travis Swallow to come and take possession. They reset. And Seattle Pacific starts to gradually inch forward. The run of play has been controlled by Western Washington. But the only shot has come from the Falcons. Now, Seattle Pacific's only tie did come a week ago, last Saturday. That was on the road. They came back and had a big win, a 4-3 win on Thursday against Simon Fraser, and avenged their only conference loss. And what a season for Seattle Pacific so far, 11-2-1. And you look at those two losses, and those are really close as well. The 1-0 loss to Simon Fraser, and then the loss back on September 18th, 3-2, Colorado School of the Mines, in a match where the Falcons were up 2-0. So it's been a special season, especially because the man at the helm, Kevin Sakuda, is the interim head coach. And perhaps he's done enough to get the permanent job. But when you find out about a month before that you're going to be the head coach, especially coming off a year with a pandemic and a spring season, there's a lot going on. And Kevin Sakuda has guided this team with a steady hand. Tapped ahead towards Swallow, but it's taken away. Trying to dribble out of traffic. Western Washington has it. And some nice moves by the midfielder, Gilbert De La Luz. De La Luz, 5 goals this year. He's the one to watch for Western Washington. But he goes sliding, and you can see how wet that pitch is. Looks like it's still raining a little bit. Certainly not the downpour that it was earlier. But it will continue to be wet in these balls. That through ball, it goes skimming past everyone. And then a foul. That's on Jake Ferry. Well, the conditions might warrant a low scoring, maybe first goal to get on the board. Has a huge momentum and edge moving forward. We're nearing 13 minutes into this match. Both teams trying to feel out the opposition. Off the chest, back and forth. Now back to the back line. But tight defensive pressure by Seattle Pacific. And upended Gilbert De La Luz. He has been flying all over the place today. Went sliding pretty much through the box after he lost the ball earlier and then got upended. Quickly back into play for the Vikings. Some space down the left side. Alex Whiting had to get rid of it. Pass back, looking for that cross. Taken away as Western Washington look for the top of the box, or trying to work it just past that right side. The ball has really been magnetized around that center circle. Not a lot of possession in any penalty box so far. A good cross in, headed away harmlessly. Through ball, some contact, and everyone turns and looks, and here comes a first critical opportunity. Is there a card? No, but it looks like it's going to be a free kick just outside the penalty box for the Vikings. And it is on the Leafy side. Maybe a little bit of a home pitch advantage. Got to deal with those leaves right there when you spot the ball. So the two waiting to take the kick, Drew Farnsworth and Gilbert De La Luz. Seattle Pacific sets up the wall, but this is as close as you can get. And a great opportunity about 15 minutes in here for the Vikings. De La Luz this year, 5 goals. Farnsworth, 6 goals, the 2 leading scorers on the team. Farnsworth takes it, curls it, just wide. Was looking for that top upper right 90. And he couldn't get it to bend, and it sails past the right post. I love that wall by Seattle Pacific. Titus Grant was laying down behind the wall and then popped up after the kick. That's an interesting one. You don't often see that. Well, the first real scoring chance goes for naught. And a foul on Gus Deal. How the Falcons respond. They turned away a good opportunity from Western Washington. So a shot apiece here. no shots on goal yet. These are two very good goalies. Brandon Locke, second team all-conference last year. He led the GNAC with a .73 goals against average and an above 80 save percentage. And this season, Lars Hellerin, 1.09 goals against average. He's been part of 5 shutouts this year. So 2 good goalies. And points will be at a premium. A couple of shutout wins this year for Seattle Pacific, including the one at Western Washington about a month ago, back on October 14th. Nifty dribbling for Travis Swallow, and then has to just leave back toward the back line. Evan Awney, been a mainstay on defense. A couple of really good sophomores have been a strong addition to Seattle Pacific this year. A turnover, and here comes De La Luz. Keeps the dribble on that right foot. Through ball toward the right edge of the box. A good run shaping up. And then a stop and a good save by Alvarez. Racing back on the play to knock it away. We have our first corner kick of the match, though. Gus Deal races all the way down to that flag. He will take it. And the last couple of minutes, it has been Western Washington. All that pressing has played to their advantage. A free kick and a corner kick coming. Alex Whiting's on the near post. A lot of jostling for position. It's played short and then kicked into the box. Seattle Pacific converges. They packed it in and knocked it back. Another deep cross. Hellerin's right out to save it. Races in front and kicks a long one. One-on-one, Mejia knocks it back, but then the defense converges, and that will be against Alex Mejia. 50-50 ball going up there, but a little bit of a bump. And I think that is something that Seattle Pacific will certainly take. You isolate Alex Mejia one-on-one, try to give him a deep through ball. Almost worked out there. Nearly 20 minutes in, no score, no shots on goal. In cold and wet conditions here at Interbay Soccer Stadium. But a chance for a very talented senior class to put the mark on what's been a special season. Deep cross from Swallow. Goes right to the back line. And these are just Hail Mary attempts back and forth. A deep cross again, tried to counter from Western Washington. Right now, just kind of booting the ball back and forth from team to team. Jake Ferry knocked down. They play on. That back line resets for the Falcons. Let the midfielders kind of press forward a little bit. And Drew Farnsworth has been up at the top, giving chase all first half. 0-0 here at the Interbay Soccer Stadium. Seattle Pacific and Western Washington tied atop the conference. Both teams have 16 points. Western Washington has just one match remaining after this. And Seattle Pacific still has 2 left, although both are on the road. Nothing going, dispossessed easily. It was a 1-on-3. And just an attempt to maybe get a foul called. Alessandro Tomasi quickly lost that ball. So here come the Falcons once more. Jake Ferry has the lone shot for Seattle Pacific. Came on a good run down toward the right corner. But kicked one toward the back post and it sailed high. Wind whipping, but kind of across the pitch, not towards one way or the other. A good tackle and a challenge by Benavides. Farnsworth has been everywhere. Drew Farnsworth, a little touch pass. De La Luz has a trailer. Whiting the shot and a goal. Western Washington gets on the board first. Some tic-tac-toe passing. Farnsworth left it to De La Luz, who played it back toward the left side of the box. And it is Alex Whiting who delivers the first goal of the match. So 1-0 early on here in the first. Well, it really has been the Vikings who have pressed onward. And Whiting buried it in the back of the net. His 5th goal of the season. Spent 2 years at Tacoma Community College. And now it looks like we have a substitution. Judah Johnston has come on for Jake Ferry. Johnston, 4 goals, 2 assists. He's now played in all 15 games this season, and he started 11 times, so this is a pretty good offensive weapon coming on right now for Kevin Sakuda and Seattle Pacific. So the goal by Whiting, the difference so far, that comes in the 21st minute. 20:30 officially on that clock. And Whiting has the goal. The field has definitely slanted toward that left goal here. As Western Washington moves right to left, it seems like the ball has been on that end of the field for most of, well, at least the last 10 minutes, but certainly a lot of this game. Here's Johnston, the fresh legs, giving a run toward the end line, and I think he popped it out of bounds off of Western Washington. He did. Corner kick. Nifty play there by Judah Johnston to flick it back off the defender. And the first corner kick for Seattle Pacific. It'll be Titus Grant to take it. The senior forward, 2-time first-team all-conference selection. He has 3 assists this year. There's a mess of bodies at the top of the box. Crossed in towards that back post, headed down, chipped and saved. Brandon Locke elevated and got a glove on it. That was a great header, drilled right at the net. And a terrific save by the Western Washington goalie. And Seattle Pacific will reset and do it once again. Another cross toward the back post again. Mejia knocked down as he tried to head that one in once more. And it's cleared back out. With bodies forward, Seattle Pacific trying to maintain possession on this offensive half. But a foul called, and they'll be sent back into play. They'll slow it down for a moment. The Vikings in no hurry right now. The Falcons press forward. They had a good look. And a terrific chance, a good shot on goal, but a nice save. And there's a running kick by Farnsworth. Just tried to get some skimming momentum as he sprinted past the defense, but gobbled up by Lars Hellerant. Now why not try to put it on goal here? When the turf is wet, who knows how the ball will skip up off the pitch. And he tested Hellerant, but it's a save for the senior goalie. A couple of shots on goal now for Western Washington. They have struck first. There was significant urgency from the Vikings with an opportunity to even the season series after losing on their home field 2-0 earlier in the year to Seattle Pacific. Deep cross and a bouncing ball. Johnston has speed, forces an errant pass. It's taken away. Here comes Ryerson. Cross to the back post, headed up, still in play. An elevated kick, and Titus Grant left to kind of half volley that, but it was knocked away. And now the wind has picked up considerably. It's just blowing straight across the pitch, so not toward one goal or the other, but really a crosswind. And that's made things difficult, blowing back down toward where the spectators are. Benavides, top of the box, elevates one, sails high and toward the cars. A good thing that high netting's there. A certain broadcaster might have parked right where that ball was headed. A souvenir and a broken window. But that's why the netting's there. The Falcons have picked up the intensity, a couple of nice looks since that goal. But Alex Whiting has the lone goal of this game, and it's a 1-0 Western Washington lead. Here comes Travis Swallow. 2 goals against Simon Fraser on Thursday. Across into the box, denied. And kicked away out of bounds, but to safely stymie that attack. The Falcons really dominated against Simon Fraser, got out to a 4-1 lead. And a couple of late goals made the final a lot closer, but it was a thorough win. Johnston, good dribbling. And we'll get the benefit of a foul and an intriguing position right here on the pitch for Seattle Pacific. On the right side, just outside of the box. Plenty of space to work something in here on the free kick. Titus Grant sets it up. And all the white and blue jerseys mashed together on that left side of the box. And standing right there at the top, Nick Ryerson has a lone man matched up on it. He backs off. Cross toward the back post, headed in, and it's a goal! And it's Mejia who heads it through, and we're tied 1-1. Beautifully driven ball, and this time Mejia is able to finish. He had a good look on a corner kick earlier that was blocked away. There was no doubt on that one, and a huge answer by Seattle Pacific. The set pieces paying big dividends. Western Washington has kind of controlled the run of play, but 2 big set pieces, and this one comes through for Seattle Pacific. And it's a big answer with under 20 minutes left in the first half. Well, so much for that low-scoring theory. Thought it would be tough to get by the goalies here. 2 very good goalies in tough conditions. But 1-1, and still plenty of time remaining. We got a player down behind the play. Dakota Stamness is hurt. Play continues. Toward the touchline. Not a lot of room, trying to dribble through the defense, and it's lost by Alex Whiting. He has the goal for the Vikings. And Alex Mejia has his 14th goal of the season for Seattle Pacific. Absolutely terrific year. And certainly an all-conference selection is probably forthcoming. There's a lot of the season left, and who knows what that total is going to end up with for Mejia, who is at 14 goals this season. Leads the conference. And creeping up into that top 10 in the entire country. Entered the night 11th in the NCAA with 13 goals. Tack on 1 more. The rain has picked up once again. It's been consistent all night, but has come down with varying force. Now, the wind and the rain kind of matching the levels that plummeting this field, and really a lot of wetness beforehand. Taken away in the box. Tough closing surge. Western Washington passes back in, and I think they were trying to through ball for a man who would have been offsides, but he's hurt behind the play. It's Eric Bonnell. Bonnell's a freshman. He had started the last 4 games, didn't get the start tonight, but he's played some significant time up front, and he has come in to kind of relieve Drew Farnsworth, who has settled back towards more of a midfield position right now. Toward that right wing, it's Johnston dribbling into the box. Nice little pass. There's some space, and it's saved. A good block, and then saved in play. Doesn't go out for a corner, but quickly dispossessed. Across, Mejia heads it towards the post, and it's off the post. He's been dangerous with the headers, but off the post, it settled softly into the hands of Brandon Locke. And the Falcons orchestrated something out of what looked like nothing. Swallow and Ryerson got the ball into the box, and Mejia was there waiting to clean it up. De La Luz quickly dancing. The pace is accelerated here. After it was about a feeling out process. They were just kind of kicking it back and forth close to midfield for maybe the first 10 minutes, and then Western Washington started to probe. They were attacking. Seattle Pacific picked up the urgency, and the Falcons have now come with a fury. 15 minutes left in this first half. A tie would be okay for Seattle Pacific, would be better, and a long shot, Mejia. Locke had to fall back and dive to block that one, and a near disaster sets up an unexpected corner kick for the Falcons. Locke was way off his line to try to clear that one. It was not the best clear, and Mejia just tried to fire one from about 40 yards out, and it almost worked. This has been tough to defend for Western Washington. Titus Grant takes the corner, the third corner of the match for Seattle Pacific. All eyes are on Mejia. This time it's low and sent back away harmlessly. Grant will run back all the way to the other side of the pitch. And a throw-in handled by Nick Ryerson. Judah Johnson's being chased back and forth. Wants that ball and has a nice flick out of traffic. Sends it crossfield, and Aiden Thrall has come up to play forward. He has a nice play. That one's kicked and right into the chest. And a save by Locke. Looked like it might have been Tyler Spear who came up and made a really nice play on that one. So Seattle Pacific has had some opportunities. Actually, that was Travis Swallow who had a really nice look. 4 shots on goal now for the Falcons. And just 2 shots on goal for Western Washington, but one of them has gone through, and we have a 1-1 tie. With 13 minutes left, a substitution in for the Vikings. Jacob Sundberg comes on. He replaces Yakov Shmelev. Freshman defender. Throws it in, gets it back down that left wing for Alex Whiting. Taken away, looking for Mejia. Couldn't get the header on it. Swallow races back to get the ball and has a nice move on the touchline. Bounce back off the chest, and Seattle Pacific throws it in. So the 1-1 tie. Mejia knocked down right in front of the official, and okay, he says there's the foul. Took him a while to point. But with a 1-1 tie, if this result ends a tie, both teams would get a point. So Seattle Pacific and Western Washington would stay tied atop the standings, and then it gets interesting because the Vikings only have 1 match left. That's next Saturday, and Seattle Pacific has 2. So double the opportunity to get points, and Seattle Pacific playing 2 opponents who are not as challenging as the team Western Washington plays. They're going to go and play Simon Fraser. And they have to play at Simon Fraser, who just suffered a tough loss. Well, that's a tough one to end on if you're the Vikings. Looking good for Seattle Pacific if they can get a win or a draw here. And a win would really clinch it. And that would be very cool to do it in front of the home crowd. There were no fans last year, spring. See, is it last year or is it this year? It's technically the 2020 season, but the 6 games were played in spring of 2021. So they just kind of refer to it as this year. But either way, that past season, there were no fans. So the home crowd hasn't seen a full season since 2019. and they can get rewarded with a conference championship. Good run into the box, knocked down, pleading for a call. Titus Grant isn't going to get one, and it goes for a goal kick. That's tough because there is always significant contact in the box. But if you called everything, that's way too many penalty kicks. And I get it. But there are kind of different rules at times when a player's in the box and has possession of the ball. Headed away at midfield by Evan Awney. Tap back in front, but Aiden Thrall is there. Thrall has had a really nice sophomore season. 4 assists this year, and he's been stout along that back line. Not as frenzied as a push from Western Washington right now. Inside 10 minutes, time for perhaps both these teams to regroup and ready for one final charge in the half. And Awney's eyeing it. Was looking back and forth to see if Swallow had some space to make a run. Didn't have it. And just a reset back to the goalie. Halloran plays it over to his defender. There's some space to dribble it up in front. Coming up with a good challenge, though. Taking it away, Western Washington. Can't maintain possession, and Tyler Spear has the ball on his foot. Wants it again. Sends one into the box. Mejia was there. Couldn't get it. And how about this? Racing back in to get it. It's Titus Grant. Looks like Western Washington kind of relaxed after heading that ball away from Mejia. And here is this frenzied pressure from Seattle Pacific. They have now controlled possession and have tilted the field. Deep cross goes harmlessly over to Western Washington. But Benavidez is there. Benavidez, quick touch. Down to that left side, dancing right around the touchline. Almost hits the official. But it's crossed over to Ryerson. He is bodied down. And then as Alex Whiting tries to jump over, protests his displeasure with the call. Arms up saying, "What did I do? I only knocked him over." 1-1. Western Washington struck first. Seattle Pacific answered. Couple of nice plays, too, for these goals. A little tic-tac-toe passing from the Vikings to set up Alex Whiting. And then Alex Mejia headed one in for Seattle Pacific. The Falcons were just 7-9-1 in 2019, though they did win their last 4 games. And you have to think that group, a good core of them, those 8 seniors who were honored before this game, you have to think that helped kind of build up that chemistry and the fortitude for this push. They went 3-2-1 in the spring season. No championships, though, really no postseason to play for, though, back in spring of this year. So this the first real chance for these teams to play for a postseason, to play for a conference crown. And the Falcons have taken advantage. They were ranked as high as 7th this year. Suffered that loss to Simon Fraser. Now have slipped a little bit, but still to be ranked 18th. A very strong season unfolding for the Falcons. That pass is taken away. Here comes Travis Swallow. Lets the defense settle around him. Dribbles through a couple of defenders. But too many blue jerseys. Benavidez, a little poke. Sailed in front. Strong challenge. Eric Bonnell trying to make it difficult, but was converged, and Nick Ryerson dispossessed. Just 6 minutes left in the first half. And after Western Washington controlled so much of the early possession, really in the first 10 minutes, the ball just seems to be attached to the feet of the Seattle Pacific team. Really just all over the white jerseys here. And they just appear comfortable. It seems like Seattle Pacific is just kind of dictating what they want to do right now. The Western Washington settled back on defense, and they haven't really parked the bus, but they're not exactly exerting themselves. It has been tough for all the possession that the Falcons have had. They have not gotten a good look since Titus Grant dribbled into the box and was knocked down and didn't get a shot off of it. There's a deep attempt, a big cross. Goes over the touchline, all the way back in the corner, and that soccer ball, I believe, is lost to the fences and maybe the trees. Luckily, plenty of others on hand. You're seeing some tired legs out there. A long season, pretty grueling first half. Windy, rainy conditions, but maybe not the worst weather to actually be running around in. Sometimes it's a little tougher on the body. You see a lot of guys cramp up when it's really hot out. This might be a little more ideal for constant running back and forth. Judah Johnston in good position. Great pass to find his foot. He's bodied off the ball, but able to tap that back. Benavides has some space, and Jose Benavides cycles it back toward that left side. A run and a cross taken away. Good low ball into the box. Just couldn't find a white jersey. Here's a good play from Mejia. Tough contact. Mejia knocked down. Two guys going up for it. And that head-to-head ball was won by the big defender, Mitchell Hutter. 6'1" freshman. He has some size back there. Western Washington player slow to get up. Lucas Sakamata, the freshman midfielder, stays on. He is limping. Shaking out that right foot. He's up, though. Played deep, Thrall with the header. But Johan Espinoza has it. Cleared back out for a moment. Onto the foot of Drew Farnsworth, the senior captain for Western Washington. But couldn't find his teammate on that right side on the touchline. It's a turnover and back to Seattle Pacific. A lot of readjusting of the shin guards and the wet cleats. Now these won't be fun to unpeel off after. Jerseys stuck to bodies. But sometimes these are the most memorable matches. If there's a win, that is. I'm sure the losing side will not want to remember this one, as the rain continues to come down in consistent fashion. Nearing 2 minutes left in the first half. And it has been pretty even. Seattle Pacific 4 shots on goal, Western Washington 2. This back and forth match with so much on the line right now. A conference title. It won't necessarily be decided tonight, but if there's a winner here, that winner will have a lot to say in it. And if it is Seattle Pacific, they will in fact win the conference title because of the strength of a tiebreaker. So on that side, yes, a conference title can be decided tonight. For Western Washington, they could still win and not necessarily win the crown because they have one less match and they're tied in points. But it's essential for them to get a win here. And that was the urgency they came out with. They really came out, and those forwards were just flying all over the pitch trying to challenge any clearing opportunity by Lars Hellerin. Finally paid off for a goal. But since then, Seattle Pacific has settled down and found some good set pieces to even up the result. 90 seconds left here in the first half. Dangerous pass back. Pressing forward, Seattle Pacific almost able to get it. Aiden Chaparro's on. Fresh legs sprinting around. And the senior midfielder almost made life dangerous for Western Washington. That ball's cleared down the left side. It's a foul, though, back behind the play on Western Washington. So here comes Seattle Pacific. Might be an opportunity for one surge of it. And there's Alex Mejia. Bouncing off of defenders. Across down the sideline. Judah Johnston races back in front. Takes it away. Johnson down the end line. Knocked away at the last moment. And then a save by Brandon Locke. The ball was actually kind of kicked his way from his own defender, but Locke made sure it wasn't going to go out for a corner kick. But Judah Johnston, since coming on, has been really resurgent. And he has sparked the Seattle Pacific offense. Maybe one final chance. The shot by Mejia. Parried down, saved, and that'll be it. Final seconds tick off the clock. Brandon Locke will just stand there. What a first half here at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. Western Washington strikes first. Seattle Pacific counters. It's 1-1 after the first 45, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes for what should be a thrilling second half between Seattle Pacific and Western Washington. we're about ready to roll for the second half here at the Inner Bay Soccer Stadium. Mike Lefko with you. A 1-1 tie between Western Washington and Seattle Pacific. And it took a little while to get the offense going, but then it heated up with a flurry of activity. Western Washington has 5 shots, Seattle Pacific 9, including 5 shots on goal, 4 of them coming from Alex Mejia. Not surprisingly, he's second in the nation in shots on goal per game, averages nearly 3 shots on goal per game, had 4 of them in the first half. Couple of nice saves by both goalies. Brandon Locke had to really parry away a header that was coming right at him from Mejia when the game was still 1-0 Western Washington. Then Mejia did get one through, but Hellerin has 1 save, and Brandon Locke credited with 4 saves so far in that first half, so he has been terrific for the Vikings, and you can see why he was a second-team All-Conference selection in 2019. Now, Locke didn't start the season. He's played in just 6 games. This is his 7th. They've all come since October 9th, though, so now he's back in the flow for Western Washington. They have kind of heated up since their starting goalie return. They're unbeaten in 4 straight. In fact, since the loss to Seattle Pacific, Western Washington hasn't lost. They've won 3 matches and tied 1, and Seattle Pacific is coming off their only tie of the season last Saturday. And what we have here is a tie game where the standings are also tied. So 2 teams on the pitch right now tied atop the conference, 16 points apiece, and a tie score through 45 minutes. We'll see if 45 more is enough to decide it, or we might have to go a few extra sessions. Both these teams are used to that. They both had draws recently, and that will go a long way to determining what happens to crown a conference champion. Well, out with a flourish, it's Drew Farnsworth starting it off, had a good run into the box, heads it forward. And once again, Western Washington, like they started the match, quickly pressing forward. Farnsworth kind of carried the pace for the Vikings, 3 shots in the first half, including a shot on goal. Alex Whiting, his shot on goal was a goal, and that came in the 21st minute, got Western Washington on the board first. Tegan Eldridge also credited with a shot. Those are the 3 who have shots for the Vikings. Pretty much been all Alex Mejia on offense for Seattle Pacific. 4 of their 5 shots on goal. Travis Swallow has the other one for the Falcons. There was Grant on a run, tried a through ball, diving, stopped to kick that one away by Danny Fazio. Or no, rather that was Tegan Eldridge. And a good sliding challenge by Aiden Thrall. The ball back with Seattle Pacific. Thrall dancing down the touchline. Back out to Mejia, a nice spin move. There's some space. A good cross down the right side. Here comes Seattle Pacific. They're spaced top of the box. Dribbling in back and forth. Johnston with a hard charge, and that one's blocked away all the way back out and out of play on that touchline on the far side. But a good opportunity developing, and Alex Mejia started it with a spinning move to free up space at midfield. Fun to watch him out there. And Judah Johnston, who starts this second half after not starting to begin the game, which you can understand. It was senior night. The 8 seniors all got the start here for Seattle Pacific, but Johnston has really emerged as a mainstay in the starting 11 for Seattle Pacific, and he's out there now and gets the ball right now. Right at the center line. Dancing forward, hops over defensive challenge, and has to pass it back out towards midfield. We're a couple of minutes into this second half, 1-1 tie. Final home game of the season for Seattle Pacific. And the penultimate game for Western Washington. They have just 1 remaining. It's next Saturday at Simon Fraser. Tough closing slate for the Vikings, ending with 3 games all on the road. Seattle Pacific will finish with 2 on the road next Thursday and next Saturday. But a chance to put the clamps down on this conference with their final home game tonight. Aiden Thrall almost tripped on the soccer ball, and Johan Espinosa was right there if he stumbled. Eric Bonnell just making Lars Hellerin play semantics, and we'll clear it out. But that was the challenge that the Vikings put on Seattle Pacific early, really pressing and making sure they completed every pass. Good challenge. Mitchell Hutter, that stays with Seattle Pacific. And that ball is blocked, and it goes out of play. Smart, savvy move there by Brandon Locke. Tried to see if the official was paying attention that it was actually a corner kick, because it deflected right down to him. He tried to quick play it. I got the ball. All right, I'll just kick it back and clear it out. Not so much, because it deflected off of Vikings, so it'll be the 4th corner kick of the match for Seattle Pacific. They have not scored on one, but they had a brilliant opportunity in the first half. The Falcons' goal did come on a set piece, though. It was a free kick from just outside the top of the box, headed home by Alex Mejia. A high cross toward the back post, headed away harmlessly, and then cleared forward. A little counterattack opportunity. Farnsworth sprinting, and Mejia's right there with him, and the two body each other toward the touchline, pointing back and forth both ways. Possession stays with Western Washington. Good speed from both of those players. Farnsworth was flying, and then Alex Mejia hit another gear and was able to knock the ball away from him. Calling out for it on the far touchline, Tegan Eldridge. That was intercepted, though, by Titus Grant. Now into the box. Some space for Travis Swallow. Had 2 goals on Thursday. Crossed in front. Too many defenders crowding in front. Well recovered by Western Washington. 1-1 tie. If it stays as such, both teams will get a point. They'll be sitting at 17 points apiece. And you know what? It wouldn't take it out of the realm for Simon Fraser. This is actually the preferred result for Simon Fraser, who, well, according to their game story, was reading their game recap because they played earlier today. Their headline says Simon Fraser all but cost himself a chance at a conference crown, which might be true. But if Western Washington and Seattle Pacific tie, they would both have 17 points. Simon Fraser would have 15. And then Simon Fraser gets to play this Vikings team on Saturday. So a draw would be ideal for the team not playing. But it's still better than a loss for these two teams right here. Espinoza tried to race down that one, but it was headed back, and a little hesitation. Halloran kicked it past a charging Viking. It seems routine, but if there's one time where you just take your focus off of something, those defenders will make you pay for the error. Mejia, one-on-one, tried to win the challenge, had it for a moment, and here comes Farnsworth. Drew Farnsworth set up that first goal, left the pass to the top of the box for Alex Whiting, who buried it in the back of the net. That was in the 21st minute, before Seattle Pacific countered about 7 minutes later. Much like the first half, Western Washington has come out and controlled possession early on here in the second. They are the defending conference champions, and the cross into the box headed too high by Whiting. Sails over the top, goes for a goal kick. A very special season for the Vikings in 2019. 13-5-1, including a 10-1-1 GNAC mark. They reached the NCAA tournament for the second time. 3 conference titles for Western Washington. Seattle Pacific has had a few in their day, their most recent in 2015. A hard challenge knocks down Dakota Stamnus. I thought for a second there was a yellow card that had gone flying. That's just a little piece of debris out there, right by where the ball is right now. I think it's a leaf. There were a couple of yellow cards in the first half. No one's been sent off so far. Yeah, that is a leaf. There it is, blowing around right in front of the soccer ball. Really strange game earlier this season. Seattle Pacific actually lost a game when they were playing against a team a man down. That was all the way back on September 18th against Colorado School of the Mines. And they gave up a goal when they had a man advantage. Don't see that much. You don't often see a man sent off either. Nearing 10 minutes into this second half, tied at 1. And this is a Western Washington team that is just coming off a draw. And they're 7-1 this season, but have done very well in conference, and their 5 conference wins have pushed them up toward first place. 16 points. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a tie. So 5 wins apiece between these two teams. And we are going to have a critical free kick, and Jose Benavides is not happy about it. He is yelling at the referee, and a couple of angry Seattle Pacific players. Aiden Thrall turns away in disgust. And they want some clarification. Evan Awney has walked up to talk to the official. Huge situation right here, right at the top of the box. A free kick opportunity coming for Western Washington. They had one in the first half, just outside the 18. And Drew Farnsworth ended up hammering a ball just wide. So it's not De La Luz set up outside of Farnsworth like last time. It is Johan Espinoza. Farnsworth hops over. Espinoza takes it, bounces off the post. The finish is high, and a golden opportunity goes for naught for Western Washington. It was an empty net, and Theo Steinmetz just airmailed it. Came flying in quickly when a terrific shot by Johan Espinoza off the post. Hellerin went flying, and for a moment there was an opportunity. But Steinmetz couldn't keep it down on the boot, and it went out and over the end line. That'll get the adrenaline going from both sides. Hard challenge from behind, dispossessed by Travis Swallow. And even though Steinmetz was knocked down, they play on. Over 10 minutes gone by here in the second. Dancing through the leaves. Swallow, a pass to Mejia. It is kicked away and bounced off of Locke. And then a sliding out of bounds tackle. I think, it looks like Eldridge was able to hit that ball before it went out over the end line. So it's out on the side. It'll be a throw-in, but looks like Alex Mejia is down. And that is absolutely the worst thing you want to see if you're Seattle Pacific. You hate to see anyone go down, but a tough collision. And Brandon Locke, the Western Washington goalie, is limping. He is hobbled. That was a 50-50 ball. They're both up now, and they slap high fives. And, just a good hard challenge, and both appreciate that. But still, doesn't diminish the pain there, because Mejia and Locke both went sprinting for that ball, and they both collided. Mejia was down for a moment. Good to see him back up, and good to see Locke back up as well. Good chance. About 12 yards out for Travis Swallow. It was knocked away, and here comes a counterattack. Farnsworth has terrific speed, but he's dispossessed, and a good challenge won by Alvarez. Now, the way Drew Farnsworth just sprints out of nowhere to make things happen is impressive. But the defense has been stout for Seattle Pacific. A sliding save before it skims over the touchline. Titus Grant puts it into the box. Travis Swallow comes up with it. Wins that challenge and will dribble out of traffic. And then it ricochets off of Swallow. 2 goals on Thursday. He started 14 games this season, and Swallow has 5 goals this year. One of the 8 seniors that was honored here on this field for Seattle Pacific before the match. A couple of guys that have been here for many years because of the free 2020 season. No one lost eligibility after 2020 was scrapped due to the pandemic. What's really confusing is that everyone still lists 2020 as a season because all these teams played a shortened spring schedule of this year, spring 2021, and in record books they're counting that as 2020. So it's a little confusing, because 2020 was canceled, but 2020 still technically happened. So just good to have a normal season again. You go 2019 to 2021. And a ball bounces through from Mejia. Left-footed boot and just skims past. Bouncing through but wide of Brandon Locke. And somehow that ball found Mejia. And he looked like he would bury the go-ahead goal. Well, it did deflect. Must have been off of Locke because it's going to be a corner kick, the 5th of the match for Seattle Pacific. Alex Mejia is listed at 6'2", and he certainly can elevate up and above everyone, as he has a couple of times tonight. Looking for him on the back post. Locke runs up, bounces that ball off his chest, and then dives to make the play. You really have to be fearless when you're a goalie, and you just charge into the onslaught like that. And Brandon Locke went careening into the leaping heads and feet and whatever else might be flying out there in the pile. But he makes the save. Two very tough goalies showing their mettle right now. 1-1 tie. 15 minutes gone by, and an absolutely huge match to determine the conference title. It's been a while since Seattle Pacific made the NCAA tournament by their standards. Very lofty standards here. All the championship banners hang on that far side. The 5 national titles. Last made the NCAA tournament in 2015. Western Washington got the auto bid in 2019. And there is no conference tournament in men's soccer. Women's soccer has one, but the regular season champ gets the automatic bid. So if Seattle Pacific wins, they would have 19 points. Western Washington would have 16. The Vikings have only one match remaining, and Seattle Pacific would have swept the series. So there's no way for Western Washington to win. So a win here, and the Falcons are the conference champs. And you can sense that urgency, certainly from Western Washington's side. Now, this is the season right now with just 2 matches left. And on a tough challenge, we have an injured Viking all the way down there by the Seattle Pacific bench. Cold, rainy night, and certainly those collisions hurt a little bit more when it's about 40 degrees outside. And it is the goal scorer, Alex Whiting. He had a good look in this half. He also scored the first goal of the game. It looks like he's going to stay on and kind of grabbing that ankle and knee. And is going to test it out. And now the slow walk. Oh, I thought we were going to have a card presented here. Nope, just repositioning on the free kick. And making sure that Judah Johnston stays back an appropriate amount of distance. Well, Western Washington needs him out there. So the senior trying to fight through it, 6-foot senior from University Place, Washington. 5 goals this season. And now he races back down toward the line, but it is saved by Lars Hellerman. Leaping out to make that catch. No opportunity for Western Washington. A handful of players played all 45 minutes in the first half, and we'll see the fitness level of these two teams. You don't want to project ahead, but with how even this one has been played, this is just screaming for a late goal to decide it, or those 2 overtime sessions if a golden goal doesn't determine it then. But about 29 minutes to see if we need at least another 10 and then maybe another 10. Possession is slowly shifting back over towards Seattle Pacific. It's been a heavy dose of Alex Mejia. He has 6 shots here for the Falcons. And he also set up a great opportunity here in the half. Drew Farnsworth has really been the primary focus for Western Washington. He has kind of been the disruptor when the Falcons have possession. Has made some opportunities happen. Now, we haven't seen Gilbert De La Luz in the second half. And De La Luz was really the one kind of inserting the offensive surge through Western Washington, along with Drew Farnsworth. The 5'11 junior forward has 5 goals this year, but yeah, he has not been on yet here in the second half for Western Washington. And here comes the best opportunity for the Vikings. Their second corner kick. And really it's just the presence of those forwards to not retreat even when the goalie has it. They're kind of frustrating the Seattle Pacific defense and Lars Hellerin. And there's De La Luz, all right. Speak it into existence. He's on right now for the first time in this half. Johan Espinoza takes the corner, sends it back out top, headed toward the far post, and it harmlessly bounces away. Goal kick for Seattle Pacific. Couple of good looks on these corners for both teams, but nothing breaking just yet. 6-2 shots on goal edge for Seattle Pacific, the 18th ranked team in the country. Western Washington has won 3 of their last 4 matches, and the one they didn't win, it was a tie against Montana State University Billings. 1-1 tie. That was the same result that Seattle Pacific just had against that team last Saturday. So how about that? That might be the team that helps decide the conference crown. A couple of draws there, and that team beat Simon Fraser earlier today. Kind of clearing the way for both of these teams to play it out for the conference title. Western Washington won both matches back in 2019. 3-1 and 4-1 wins. But it was the Falcons 2-0 back on October 14th. De La Luz and Farnsworth pressing forward. Aiden Thrall not yielding anything. Judging by the umbrellas, the rain has picked up again. Windy, cold, and rainy, and really, if you're not playing, not too fun to be out there right now. Those were my conditions. I had to stay inside. I said if I was broadcasting outside, I wouldn't do it. But kudos to all the fans out there right now, sitting through these conditions to take in what is a critical match. And really the last chance here in the regular season to see these Seattle Pacific players at home. There still lies the possibility of NCAA tournament games, but that is way down the road. Right now, just trying to determine a result here. About 25 minutes left here in this second half. A good play down the end line. There is some space. 3 defenders converge. Back out to the top of the box. A kick into traffic. And another shot just sails high. Tegan Eldridge had some space at the top of the box on a nice probing run that was set up by Alex Whiting. Outside of a good little look by Alex Mejia, it's really been all Western Washington here in this second half. The pressure on Lars Hellerin, but he's been up to the task so far. Aiden Thrall will touch it forward, but Espinoza converges. Johan Espinoza did not start this game. He has been really the key guy in this second for Western Washington. Has a couple of goals on the season as well. Clearing ball sent in front by Evan Ani. There is some space for Mejia. Able to get a boot on that, deflect it. Almost led to a change of possession. Aiden Chaparro was right there, but the ball skidded away from him. And here's Farnsworth. A run down the right side. Cross into the box, sent back. Whiting had it knocked away. A huge tackle by Nick Ryerson to deny a clean look. Bodies sliding everywhere on a slick pitch. And that ball is going to skim and go in crazy directions with how wet it is out there. A huge shot and a save by Hellerin. The third shot on goal looked like it could be a dangerous one. But Lars Hellerin ate it up. He's allowing just a shade over a goal per game. Entered the night allowing just 1.09 goals against. And nearly 78% save percentage. And Brandon Locke, the Western Washington goalie, has similar, if not just a little bit better numbers. 0.8 goals against average and a nearly 81% save percentage. Taken away at midfield, here comes Western Washington. It's the midfielder Gus Deal. And a tough challenge, and Jose Benavidez is down for Seattle Pacific. They will play on, and Benavidez having some trouble. So right now, the Falcons essentially down a man and a courtesy kind of kick out of bounds, like sportsmanship will dictate at times, and it was Jacob Sundberg who kicked it away. No, it wasn't, because, oh yeah, he is in there maybe. Well, it looks like we'll use this as a de facto timeout, with Jose Benavidez getting some attention on that right leg. And Greg Brisbane has called his side over. Well, a couple of guys over there, including Dakota Stamnes. How about Greg Brisbane, 9th year as the head coach for Western Washington, and he's a 1998 Seattle Pacific grad. He transferred into the Falcons program, played in 1996 and 1997, and now has a chance to pick up a critical victory against his alma mater. And on the other side, what a story for Kevin Sakuda. He was an assistant coach on the women's side until July 28th. That's when Mark Collings resigned, went over to the University of Washington as an assistant coach. So a little over a month before the season began, Kevin Sakuda was moved from women's soccer assistant to interim head coach of Seattle Pacific. And he had just joined the women's soccer program back in 2015 after a pretty nice playing career. And a heck of a debut for Sakuda. 11-2-1 this season, and you have to think this is a great little resume booster to take that interim tag off. Hard to argue that, right? What's the hiring process going to be like? You can say scoreboard, hey look, I'm 11-2 and I might give you a conference title. But that still has to be determined. And right now, Western Washington is dead set on denying Seattle Pacific a big victory at home to end these seniors' home careers. Travis Swallow tried to clear, could not. Deep cross, high over the net. Alex Whiting was looking back post, just kind of sailed it high. The wind and the rain making that ball slick. And this is more of the expectation. In tough conditions, tough to get a goal past two very good keepers. I thought all that offense was a little out of character that we had in the first half. But, that's going to develop as players get tired, opportunities happen, and maybe one lucky bounce of a ball on a wet pitch. Mejia, good pop in front. Pressing forward, but to no avail. It was Aaron Stapleton who's into the match for the first time. And Stapleton has that one deflect off of Drew Farnsworth. Farnsworth, the senior midfielder from New Zealand. Honorable mention All-Conference in 2019 and 2018. And he's put together a very nice final campaign here for Western Washington. 21 minutes left, 1-1 tie. There has been no difference in the score since the first half. The The Vikings, the ones that got on the board first. 21st minute, a goal by Alex Whiting, his 5th of the season. And then in the 27th minute, Alex Mejia tallied his 14th goal of the year. That's the most in a season for Seattle Pacific since 2018 when Titus Grant had 13. So Mejia gets by that, and he still has 2 games left. And a half, and maybe more here. Will number 15 be en route? Good takeaway by Johnston. There is some space for Mejia. He has rarely seen space tonight. Able to dribble it toward the edge of the box. Gets outside one defender. Down the side of the box, and it is converged on and then blocked. But here's a cross and an opportunity. Cleared out. And a counterattack chance for Western Washington. Farnsworth looks, sends a deep ball to De La Luz. The right side of the box, De La Luz hesitated, and it was flicked away by Damien Alvarez. Western Washington just lurking with that counterattack threat. After Alex Mejia had a nice opportunity and some great dribbling moves to set up some space. And Mejia races forward, just kind of stumbles over a couple of feet. Yakov Shmelev had some tight pressure on him. It's been Shmelev that has been marking Alex Mejia for most of this second half. He's the senior defender, and he has started the last 9 matches for the Vikings. Going with some size to counter the 6'2 Mejia. Shmelev's 6'1". De La Luz has a little bit fresher legs. Didn't come on until about 10 minutes into the half, and bodies collide. Thrall and Tegan Eldridge. Pretty tough collision there. And Thrall comes up frustrated. He wanted a card. Or certainly something more than was given. Ticking down towards 18 minutes left here at Interbay Soccer Stadium. 1-1. Western Washington 1. Seattle Pacific 1. And these teams only have 1 tie apiece, and it's come very recently. A 7-7-1 record for the Vikings, an 11-2-1 record for Seattle Pacific. And the tie came in conference play for both of these teams, so identical 16 points atop the standings. Pretty exciting when these 2 teams are the ones tied for first, and they're playing to try to decide it head-to-head this late in the season. There is some anxious adrenaline and kind of the recognition that the next goal might be the one to do it. You get under 20 minutes, and there's always that fear that a late tally will be too tough to overcome. Cycled back around, Damien Alvarez gets marked up by Gilbert De La Luz. Both of these teams are very experienced, too, and that's the benefit, I guess, of having that season kind of canceled. There was some eligibility retained, so a lot of senior-laden presence on both these teams. A nice run into the box. There's Titus Grant down the left side. A bullet gobbled up by Brandon Locke. And quickly out with the ball, and here comes that counterattack opportunity. Farnsworth bats it down, and then dribbles right into the defense. Too many white jerseys converging on Drew Farnsworth. Grant's going to try to find Mejia. That combo, you can kind of sense it. They have been locked in lockstep, these 2 seniors, but have been tied up and unable to break free. No, the official doesn't like something right now. I think Western Washington tried to throw that ball back in a little too quickly because he's laughing with Tegan Eldridge. Raymond Moffitt Jr. is the referee. Matthew Morgan and Cody Zip, the linesmen. And Aiden Thrall gets an explanation on something. He's been a little frustrated this half. Has suffered a lot of contact, and I think still doesn't like that he was knocked down hard a couple of times. Meanwhile, when they reset, Alex Mejia was standing there at the top of the box with his arms up saying, "Send it my way. I'm going to get this ball." Wind is swirling right now. Leaves are blowing around the soccer ball. And it has cleared up a little bit rain-wise, but the wind is playing a factor. Blustery conditions. If that ball gets up in the air, it might dovetail any which way. 30 minutes gone by here in this second half. We've hit the 15-minute mark and counting down. 1-1. In a critical late-season matchup here between Western Washington and Seattle Pacific. Titus Grant was racing around everywhere. Came up with the ball for a moment, and we'll watch it go out of bounds on the touchline. And Seattle Pacific presses forward on defense. Everyone up, including Lars Hellerin, who's about 3/4 of the way outside of the box. And it goes off of Western Washington. So here's a late opportunity with a corner. And the 6th corner kick attempt of the match. That ball will be left for the foot of Titus Grant. Well, not really. It looks like we have someone else taking the corner. Aaron Stapleton is going to take this corner. So Grant has taken most of them. But Stapleton's going to send it in. To the back post, a high, lofted ball, easy to catch for Brandon Locke. And that threat is dismissed. Big shots on goal advantage in the first half for Seattle Pacific. They haven't had a lot of opportunities. Really, neither team has had many opportunities here in the second. Shots on goal in this game now 7-2. So Western Washington hasn't had any in this half, and Seattle Pacific has had 2 shots on goal after recording 5 in the first half. The defenses have clamped down so far in this second half. But there's 13 minutes left to change this result. A good challenge, that one's taken away. Here comes Gus Deal. Long ball down the touchline, and it rolls just to the right side, which is the one that you can't kick it on. That is the ball out of bounds and back to Seattle Pacific. But tried to test that defense, and Alessandro Tomasi. He's the forward who is playing up and really pestering the Seattle Pacific defense and goalie Lars Hellerin. And a foul and a hard challenge. I think we're going to have a card here. We have a defender being called over. Oh, that slow walk, and yep, it is on Jacob Sundberg, the freshman defender who made his first appearance this half, and now gets a yellow card. I always appreciate the teacher scolding the student aspect of handing out a card, because the official has to call the guy over, says, all right, no, you're standing here. Okay, this is it. You must see this card. You have done wrong. And they kind of wait until the player comes to them, too. That's always entertaining. The clock is stopped here while they reset. And now an opportunity for Mejia. Skies over his head, tried to leap for it. Race up to make sure no danger comes forward. Everyone kind of lying in wait, waiting for an opportunity to materialize. It does seem fitting that these two teams would need overtime sessions. But that is a lot of wear and tear on a body to play 90 minutes and then maybe 20 more. Especially some of these defenders who just, they don't come out. The core players on both of these teams' back lines, the minutes they're averaging nearly a full game. There have been some overtime wins this year for both of these teams, so when you look at some of these key defenders, their average minutes played per game are at nearly 90. Because some of these go, 105 or 110 minutes. So that is a lot of wear and tear on the body over the course of a long season. 11 minutes left in this match. A clearing ball out to midfield that is taken away by Thrall. Played back to Damian Alvarez. Motioning for the defense to reset on that back line. But here comes Western Washington. Forcing a deep clear. Headed in front. Johan Espinoza went for a challenge and couldn't get anything past Damian Alvarez. He's been a big presence in his freshman season here for Seattle Pacific. Well, Alvarez making his 9th start in 15 matches. But that ball is deep in the Seattle Pacific end. Skirting around the top of the box, coming up, intercepting it, and pushing it back over to Farnsworth. Drew Farnsworth tried to turn, he had no space, but he gets rewarded with a foul called on Seattle Pacific. Well, that ball about 30 yards out straight away. And a free kick opportunity. Gus Deal waits for his teammates to race back and forth and set up their preferred position. A small 3-man wall out top. Sent toward the end line, and just two bodies racing back and forth. No one could get a foot on it. It goes back out and over to Seattle Pacific for a goal kick. Mejia and Theo Steinmetz were locked up, dueling number 12s, and no one could really garner possession or even any kind of advantage. So it goes back to the home team. Thrall has it deflect and heads up. Spectators may find themselves with a soccer ball in their possession, as that one ricochets up toward the press box and into the spectator seating. Thrall tries to send it back, but it just rolls over the touchline. And with 9 minutes left, Western Washington pressing forward. Tegan Eldridge wearing the captain band this half. Actually, there's a couple of them out there. Eldridge and Farnsworth wearing the captain armbands. And Eldridge half volleys it up and forces a clear by Seattle Pacific. There have been a handful of overtime games this season for Seattle Pacific. They have won 4 of them. They've won 3 and lost 1 of them. Also had a tie. They won in Game 2 of the year at Chico State. Lost to Colorado School of the Mines. Won at Hawaii. Had a 2 overtime win against Montana State Billings, and then that draw last Saturday against Montana State Billings. Still plenty of time left, though. 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining and counting. Alex Mejia knocked down. And he comes up and he wants to know, hey, is there going to be a call there? And there was. We have a late substitution on. Looks like Judah Johnston has run out. And Jake Ferry's back in. Ferry, one of these 8 seniors that was honored before the match on senior night here for Seattle Pacific. So he got the start. And now he comes back on. Ferry is up high on that right side, replacing the good effort that Judah Johnston provided. Mejia, spinning heel kick, sets up a good opportunity. Aiden Thrall racing forward. Down the left side, a through ball up ahead into the box. There's some space. The cross goes forward. Back out room, and a hard challenge and a tackle after Travis Swallow lost it. But the best chance we have seen in a number of minutes, Joey Van Horn set up the opportunity. The Falcons were just kind of lying in wait, and then finally struck. They've had a couple of corner kicks. Western Washington's had a couple of free kicks in very good position this half. But the defenses have just denied really any strong offensive surge. We're tied at 1. And these two teams are also tied atop the standings. A through ball for Mejia, and there's some space as he races down the left side. Mejia, fancy dribbling, hop steps into the box, sets up a shot, it's blocked, doesn't get through, and the defense backs up on Mejia and makes sure that dangerous right foot didn't get a clean look. Yakash Shmelev with a key block, and here comes Farnsworth the other way. Leaves it back on that left side. Whiting racing in, crosses it in front, headed back out high in the air. Tip back in front. Eldridge, a big boot high over the goal. And that settles things down for a moment. But back-to-back good opportunities for both of these teams. And after about 35 minutes of play solely in the midfield, we have some long runs shaping up for both the Vikings and the Falcons. Swallow crosses it. Joey Van Horn, the fresh legs. He just made his first appearance this half. Van Horn is upended, kind of sideswiped, and that'll bring a free kick at the edge of the 18-yard box. Just to the left of the penalty box, Joey Van Horn split the defense and then was sideswiped. So it's Travis Swallow, Alex Mejia, and Nick Ryerson all standing there. And now Ryerson and Swallow discussing strategy. The clock is ticking down towards 4 minutes remaining in a 1-1 tie game. A goal might give the Falcons the conference championship. And now we have Tyler Spear racing in. Swallow fakes. Ryerson's going to take it. He sends one spinning towards the post, and it was kicked away. But a good look. That ball got through cleanly. Was not redirected, though. Substitutions back and forth to try to keep those legs fresh. That might be the determining factor. Jordan Greenshield has come back on. He also got the start. His first start of the season. It was on senior night here. And he's on with some fresh legs and maybe the chance to make the difference with about 3 minutes left. And Jose Benavides commits a foul, and Drew Farnsworth wants a quick reset. Now he'll wait, and Western Washington will just walk forward. The clock has hit 3 minutes. The hands up, Gus Deal sends it in, but sails it over everyone once again. Well, actually, might have gotten down in time. There was a late kick by Theo Steinmetz. Kind of went harmlessly over to Hellerin. And I guess technically he did get that before it went out over the end line. Good clear. Van Horn tried to dance around. Quickly taken away by De La Luz. Guessed correctly on that little move in front, but they couldn't maintain possession. Thrall is bodied along the touchline. Sends it in front. There's some space down that left side. And a turnover. An opportunity into the box. Dancing around, back and forth. Tomasi. On the left foot, Stamnes had it blocked. Alejandro Tomasi set up a nice opportunity. And an unexpected surge for Western Washington. 2 minutes remaining. Here comes Farnsworth. Crosses back over to the right foot. Pass in front. It's left behind. It's a miscommunication. De La Luz wasn't ready. And Thrall was there for it. Van Horn heads it out. Western Washington surging with an intensity to try to decide this match before it heads to overtime. Tomasi loses it. And now 90 seconds left. Western Washington pushing all 10 into this half of the field. And Brandon Locke has taken some generous steps way out front of his goalie box. Seattle Pacific trying to shift the field here and get something surging in the final minute. Van Horn blocks it, saves it, and will have a look. I think they were asking for a handball. Benavidez taps it back and out. And Tegan Eldred wants it. Quickly throws it in, but right to Aiden Thrall. Possession back to Seattle Pacific. That ball is taken away at midfield. 45 seconds left. De La Luz dancing around on the wing, knocks it off of Thrall, and here comes a corner kick. Sprinting forward, 35 seconds left, trying to set up the opportunity. Gus Deal races towards the corner flag. This might be the final opportunity here in regulation. Deal gets it in, blocked away by Helleran, chasing it down in the box, and Jake Ferry's able to kick it away. It's out, 15 seconds left. Quick throw in by Deal. And it's tipped away again by Aiden Thrall. 10 seconds left. Here they come. The throw-in gets into the box. 5 seconds. De La Luz flicks it back over his head, and that'll do it for regulation. A frenetic surge by Western Washington in the final 90 seconds, but no one can crack in the second half. We're tied at 1, and we have a golden goal opportunity coming. 2 10-minute sessions, but the first goal will end it. If not, well, we'll be tied. We'll take a brief little break here, come back in about 4 minutes, and get you set for overtime here at Interbay Stadium between the Falcons and the Vikings. To overtime we go. And how are the legs feeling if you're Western Washington? Just 2 nights ago, Thursday, at Montana State Billings, they went to double overtime, had a 1-1 draw. Last Saturday, Seattle Pacific went to 2 overtime sessions, could not get a result. They had a 1-1 tie. Well, they're in a lot of minutes on these legs. But they're college kids, right? They can rest when the season's over. But that is a big looming question after a grueling match here, tied at 1, and now 2 10-minute sessions, but it's the first goal wins. Now you will play out a 10-minute session. If there's no result, we'll play another 10-minute session, but the first one to win, the first one to score, they get the celebration, and that will be it. We'll flip sides of the field, so now Western Washington will attack right to left like they did in the first half, and Seattle Pacific going left to right. This is the way both teams scored in the first half. Take that for what you will, but maybe this is the better side for both of them. Doesn't get much bigger than this, though. A conference championship on the line, or certainly the winner could be in the driver's seat. Both of these teams tied with 16 points atop the conference, and a win would net you 3 and maybe seal it. Quickly in possession for Seattle Pacific. Judah Johnston has come back on. He started the second half. He's there on the right side right now, trying to press forward. Had some good runs in the first half, set up an opportunity. And Alex Mejia, the big looming threat, but he has been marked closely by Theo Steinmetz and Yakov Shmelev. Western Washington has traded a couple of guys that have drawn that duty, and they locked him up in the second half. Mejia had the goal in the first. Alex Whiting had the goal in the first for Western Washington. Couple of good looks at the end of regulation for the Vikings, including a frenzied surge with a corner kick, and then it was deflected out. They raced back to try to get an opportunity, but it was really second by second coming down to the wire, and just no one could crack. Seattle Pacific got just 2 shots on goal in that second half, and actually Western Washington did not record a shot on goal in the second half. So for as much pressure they applied, really not a lot of good looks for either team. Here's a chance, though. That pass is intercepted. Titus Grant racing free, crosses for Mejia, but it's deflected away, intercepted, and then a solid surge, try to save it, but it's deflected off the flag. It'll be a corner kick. Good recognition for Tegan Eldridge as that ball was sailing toward the end line. Tried to valiantly save it, but could not. On that far left post, it'll be Tyler Spear to send this one in. Spear crosses high, back toward the post, headed to the side, tipped away, and it's slid out off the leg of Jacob Sundberg. It'll be another corner kick. Send it to the other flag, and you have Titus Grant, who will take it. I believe this is the 8th corner for Seattle Pacific. Mejia is back a few ways. He had a good look on one of these in the first half. To the side, and a whistle blows it before that. So I think there was a foul there on Seattle Pacific. Ball back to Western Washington. 2 good looks early on here in overtime number 1. Golden goal opportunity. First ball to get into the back of the net will end it. And if no one can score, it'll be another 1-1 draw. That was the score of the 2 ties that these teams have had. Again, just 2 nights ago for Western Washington, they had a 1-1 tie. And a week ago, was the lone draw for the Falcons this season. The throw-in goes back to Grant. He's motioning for Thrall and now crosses it in. Too far for Mejia. Playing forward, though, and good takeaway by Ryerson. Trying to find Judah Johnston. And it just is deflected away by Jacob Sundberg. The freshman's been pretty stout on defense. Western Washington. Mejia intercepts. Mejia has space and a save and deflected out. Terrific work by Alex Mejia to take away possession, and then the big right-footed boot was denied by Brandon Locke. Showing why he's an all-conference goalie back there for Western Washington, and his save might have just saved this game. Spear sends it in from the corner, high, deep cross. Down to the other flag, Judah Johnston races it down. Good step through, has some space, crosses back over. The ball trickles back out, and then it is cleared high and out toward the sideline as Tyler Spear comes back to it. He'll send one into the box. Bouncing back, and it's usually that second touch that can really be the difference. But there was no one there to capitalize for Seattle Pacific. Possession's been dominated by the Falcons in this overtime session. And they keep pressing, and this is where Western Washington might be playing with some tired legs and some fire right here. That's 20 extra minutes after 90 that Western Washington just played 2 nights ago. But here they come now into their offensive half, waiting for Jacob Sundberg to trigger it in. Sundberg throws it to Espinoza. Alex Whiting tries to make a challenge, and it is just cleared well out of play by Evan Ani. Slowly but surely, Western Washington is walking that ball further and further towards that Seattle Pacific goal. Strong challenge and possession one for Seattle Pacific. Mejia takes a massive boot and will flip the field. We'll wait for Brandon Locke to try to make a clear of it. He sends it back all the way towards the opposite box. Good touch passing. Spear. Through ball denied. Sundberg pops it back out toward midfield. Benavidez with a strong challenge, but it's wrested away by Drew Farnsworth. Farnsworth's speed carrying play down that right side. Trying to leave through the ball. Aiden Thrall on pursuit. He's knocked down. And that will draw a card. And that is on Dakota Stamness. So a couple of yellow cards handed out to Western Washington here in the half. 3:57 left in this first overtime session. Another 10 minutes looming if we don't get a goal. And strangely enough, the team that wants a draw the most is Simon Fraser. They're sitting right behind these two teams with 15 points. Western Washington has 16. Seattle Pacific has 16. A winner would really put the conference title out of reach for Simon Fraser, but a draw keeps everything in play. Not that these teams are concerned with that right now, but it's a good thing to ponder. Johnson sends it spinning back all the way. Tough run for Evan Ani. And he will get it at least towards midfield, but possession over to Western Washington. Both goals came in the first half. Alex Whiting in the 21st minute. Alex Mejia in the 27th. There's Whiting, but it was not his ball to dribble with. Not surprisingly, seniors kind of carrying the run of play for both of these teams. Two squads loaded with returners and with veteran upperclassmen. Aiden Thrall will slowly dribble it across midfield, and something not to the pleasure of Titus Grant. He was kind of looking back at the official. Good challenge by Johnson, forces a quick clear, and then just headed back over the back line and to the waiting Lars Hellerit. Nearing 2 minutes left in this first overtime session. We are knotted at 1. A dangerous game in front of the goal. Evan Ani not phased though, and passes out to Travis Swallow. Right along the touchline, deep cross, Mejia gets it off the chest, maintains possession. Mejia dribbling back and forth, setting up his defender. Strong move to the right side and forces a sliding challenge. Theo Steinmetz knocks it away. But if Alex Mejia can get in space, he is ever dangerous. We're about to hit 90 seconds left in this first overtime session. The final 90 of regulation was when Western Washington really had their surge. Could be the final valiant effort here for Seattle Pacific. High ball up in the air, headed out, and there are the pointing of hands, and it stays with Seattle Pacific, and now another corner kick. Nearing double-digit corner kicks for the Falcons. Titus Grant and Alex Mejia almost connected on one, on the very first one of the game, early on in the first half. Grant's waiting to send it in. There's a little gamesmanship going on here. Jose Benavidez, I don't know, he did something to the shoe of Alex Whiting. And now Whiting is retying it. I don't think he completely untied the shoe, but those two are having some words with each other. So now we're ready. Deep ball headed up, still in play, tap forward, bicycle kick, and just wide. Travis Swallow would have delivered one for the ages had he converted there. But just sails past the net. Brandon Locke motions everyone back. He wants to send a big booming kick here with just 30 seconds remaining in the first overtime session. We'll let everyone settle around that center circle, and does boom one all the way out to midfield. Big header pushed in front by Theo Steinmetz. Whiting trying for one final challenge, crosses it back in front. The defense recovers, and it's taken away by Damian Alvarez. Now a through ball looking for Swallow, but retreating back and clearing it, Theo Steinmetz, and that'll do it for the first overtime session. Final few seconds tick off the clock, and we have another 10 coming up. Catch your breath and get ready. 5 minutes, we'll come back and have the final 10 minutes. We'll either have a victor or a tie in the next 10 minutes here at Inter Bay Soccer Stadium. Well, the rain has started to come down with gusto again. Heavy rains drenching the pitch, and both teams didn't want to stand around in the rain. It's funny, the 5 minutes were not done yet on the clock. They were out there, they were ready. So we're underway. The final overtime session. We need a goal or else we have a tie. The stakes are massive right now. Both Seattle Pacific and Western Washington tied with 16 points atop the conference. The Vikings have just one game remaining. It's next week at Simon Fraser. Simon Fraser has just one game remaining. It's, next week against Western Washington. They're sitting behind these two teams with 15 points. So a draw keeps Simon Fraser in play for the conference title. There's a deep cross that sails over the head and stays in. The ball just sliding everywhere on the wet pitch. There are drenched uniforms right now. Eric Bonnell was the one trying to press forward. But it'll go back to Seattle Pacific. Still no shots on goal for Western Washington, so they don't have a shot on goal this half. But Seattle Pacific has been unable to capitalize. They had one shot on goal in the overtime session. It was a good look off the foot of Alex Mejia, but a save by Brandon Locke. And a lot of corner kicks just haven't paid off just yet. 10 corner kicks for Seattle Pacific. Bonnell has it knocked out and off of Damian Alvarez. So here comes a corner. It is golden goal. Next goal will win it and end this game. We also have 8.5 minutes or else it's a tie. So Johan Espinoza is there at the flag, ready to send this one in. Espinoza sends it back post, tipped out. A good hand by Hellerin. Got one arm on it, and then a big clear to force Jacob Sundberg to race it all the way down. Brandon Locke, well out of the box, wants to clear it and keep the pressure on Seattle Pacific's defense. Everyone press forward. Here's some space for Farnsworth. Sets up a shot, deflects down to Johan Espinoza. Good battle from Thrall, and Thrall is knocked down by Espinoza. We'll see what comes of this. Yeah, it's a foul on Espinoza. He sent him flying. And it will be Seattle Pacific with a free kick here. So because of that, Lars Hellerin will run over to take it. Before this game started, there was a heavy downpour. Heavy winds, real nasty downpour, and it kind of subsided. Actually right for the Senior Day ceremony, which was nice, and most of this game was played without the heavy rains, but they have come down with a fury right now. And it is just wet and cold conditions out there. Fighting through, Western Washington trying to win possession. Play continues even after a couple of guys were knocked down, and you're seeing just some tired bodies right now. Aiden Thrall was slow to get up. Travis Swallow stood around for a second, but all of that does lead to a free kick. And Jose Benavides takes it. 2 matches still remaining after this for Seattle Pacific. They will be on the road, though, at St. Martin's and at Northwest Nazareth. Mejia just wants to end it right here. Dribbling atop the box. Leaves one back. A strong run just outside into the box. A diving challenge to take it away. And that'll lead to another corner. Alex Whiting denied Nick Ryerson. But a great setup by Alex Mejia. So corner kick number 11 for number 11, Titus Grant. The Seattle Pacific jersey stacked up in a line just out top the box. Deep cross and a leaping grab by the goalie Brandon Locke. The 6'3 sophomore elevated and denied any opportunity at the back post. Mejia will make sure he gets this one off cleanly. He does. 5.5 minutes left. Golden goal situation here in overtime number 2. And it's cleared in front by Gus Deal. Johan Espinoza has really been a surge of energy here in this second half for Western Washington. Tried to chase one down, but he couldn't. Espinoza will wait. Volleyed in front. Mejia has his jersey grabbed, still able to come up with it. Tries a deep clearing ball. It's chested down and then taken away by Judah Johnston. For a moment, possession won back, but just a frenetic clear by Western Washington before Judah Johnston knocked it away. Now the Vikings have it. Now you see every whistle and every contact, guys just pleading for a call or getting the frustrations out. It has been a long, grueling game, evenly matched between the two best teams in the conference. Seattle Pacific won 2-0 at Western Washington back on October 14th. Since then, the Vikings haven't lost. They have played some solid soccer. They're trying to get out of here with a tie or a win. Farnsworth volleys it ahead. There is some space. Racing down for Bonnell. Moves over to the left. Shoots one. Errant deflection. But it is calmly saved by Lars Hellerud. You get a weird kind of chemistry off that deflection, and who knows what happens. Especially when it's very wet. The ball can bounce weird ways. But the Bonnell shot was denied. So that's the first shot on goal since the first half for Western Washington. Taken away, intercepted, and trying to quickly reset. Aiden Thrall says, give me that one back. Tegan Eldridge tried to game the ball back into play before the officials saw that, no, that wasn't the right team to have it. Under 4 minutes now. Big clear. Eldridge watches it go to his goalie. Right back to Brandon Locke, harmlessly into the goalie's hands. He has been huge tonight. Locke has had some major saves. Now up to 8 saves in the game. And has kept this one a 1-1 tie. Stepping through, Tyler Spear knocks it forward. Spear goes up to challenge Farnsworth. But it's into possession for Western Washington. Pressing up, here comes Tegan Eldridge. Big clearing ball, top of the box. It's down into the feet, a big kick, bouncing back toward the post. And Eric Bonnell has been really all over it. The forward, the freshman as well, has come on and been a boost of energy. 2 decent looks for Bonnell. Ellerin clears it. Thrall has some space. Heads it across midfield. Crosses in front to Mejia. Sets it up with the chest to the backside. Travis Swallow out to the top of the box. Sliding challenge. Sent way into the trees. And out of play by Jacob Sundberg. 2:45 left in this match. Swallow taps it to Judah Johnson on the edge of the box. Will pass in front. Mejia has some space. Can't get the foot around. He was trying to just get it set up and had no clean look. And Johan Espinoza got rid of it. Down to Grant. Titus Grant. The senior trying to find his fellow senior Mejia. The 2 best goal scorers on this team. They came so close, but taken away. Perhaps one counterattack left from Drew Farnsworth. He is knocked off the ball. It's dispossessed cleanly. Here comes Johnson. There's plenty of space to dribble. Johnson passes and sends it wide. Thought he was looking down for Grant. In fact, he took the shot, but it sailed just wide. Grant was on that wing, pressing forward down the left side. Judah Johnston took the shot, but it just sailed past the left post. The home crowd urging on the Falcons. It's senior night, trying to send them out with a win and claim a conference championship. Headed back down. Here comes Farnsworth. There's some space on the left foot. He'll pass it toward the top of the box. It's intercepted. Intensity has picked up. Both teams trying to press forward for a result in the final 90 seconds. Good challenge ahead, and then Farnsworth's knockdown. And he wants to reset immediately. Benavides grabs him. And, yeah, that's not going to go to Seattle Pacific. And now a card on Benavides. No, he's being warned. Okay, that would be big because Benavides got a yellow card in the first half. And I thought he was going to be called over and shown another yellow, but the official has to just calm it down. The head referee here, Raymond Moffitt Jr., wants to settle down the emotions after Benavides grabbed Drew Farnsworth. The clock is at 1:08. A free kick here for Western Washington. Sent deep into the box. There's some space on the back post. Mejia heads it back. It races toward the end line, bodying away, and then a hard challenge down there near the end line. And it goes for a corner kick. Looked like that was Damian Alvarez who was trying to find some space. And okay, it's not a corner kick. There was a foul called, so it's essentially a corner kick. On this reset, this free kick really just steps in front of that flag. Sent to the back post, headed up high in the air, second ball bouncing forward, and a big boot to clear it away out of danger from Titus Grant. 25 seconds left. It's going to have to be now for either of these teams. Here's Grant pushing it back in front. Taken away. There is some urgency. 15 seconds left. And Johan Espinoza is going to try to send it in, passes it down the sideline. 10 seconds left. That's going to be it. I don't think there's going to be enough time. 5 players standing around, and we have the inevitable end. Well, the official has called them over, and now the whistle is blown, and there are some exhausted players all over the field. 110 minutes, and no decisive outcome. We have a 1-1 tie. The Vikings are just absolutely gassed. Players lying on the pitch, but they have earned a hard-fought tie, and what we have is still a tie atop the leaderboard. Seattle Pacific now has 17 points. Western Washington has 17, and there are 2 matches left in the season for Seattle Pacific. Next Thursday at St. Martin's and next Saturday at Northwest Nazarene. It was a heck of an evening. Thanks for listening and watching alongside. 1-1 between Seattle Pacific and Western Washington. I'm Mike Lefko. Thanks for watching and have a nice evening.